Captain's Log, the podcast devoted to discussions and insights into pop culture with an emphasis on the supernatural, occult, and the all-around strange happenings of our world. Our mission? To boldly entertain like no one has before. Stardate 07/21/2020. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Captain's Log. This is your captain speaking, Jose Valle Jr., joined virtually from America's 29th state, the beautiful Iowa, by my co-host and first officer, Mason Schrader. Mason, say hello to the folks at home and tell us how you've been since the last time we heard that lovely, soothing voice.
Hello! I've been fine over here in the Hawkeye state. Pretty good. You know, we talk about my state a lot. We don't talk about Utah very often.
There's not much to talk about. I mean...
yeah, as opposed to the metropolis of Iowa.
Do you want to talk about how there was a town hall to talk about requiring masks for kids to go back to school, and then a bunch of protesters showed up, anti-mask protesters, and they had to shut the meeting down because there were so many people without masks. There was a public safety concern.
I was really hoping you were going to say, and then it was shut down by people who were protesting the fact that they were even going back to school. No,
everybody, a lot of people here just they are like, it's not fair that parents should have to deal with their kids at home. They're your fucking kids. What? You chose to have them. No,
my parents probably felt the same way.
But no, yeah, nothing new in Utah. There was a guy who drove through a bunch of protesters.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
That was fun.
I saw some lighter subject is I saw there's this statue in Salt Lake City, like a police statue of like just two giant hands.
Oh, yes,
like turned upwards to like talk about how like the police are there to serve us, and someone covered it in red paint because police have blood on their hands, and I was like, that's pretty good.
That was pretty cool.
But also, you kind of walked into that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
me personally, I would have put big paper mache balls on it, like big nuts, like a big ball sack, and I don't know, something, and I would have thought of something clever, but. Yeah.
Yeah, but instead I guess we'll settle with the hauntingly powerful statement of cop having blood on their hands.
Yeah, I guess that was pretty good.
But if it was you, I guess it would have been paper mache balls and something clever.
Yes, it would have. Let's see. Today we are I think we should. This episode is late. It's very late. I'm getting my shit together. We're working on it. It won't happen again, but it probably will. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Today we're continuing our Unsolved U.S. series. We're going to take a look at... it's part 3 of the Notorious Narratives of the Northeast. So today we're going to be taking a look at urban legends from the following 2 states, Connecticut and Rhode Island. Originally I had 3 states planned, but I just come to realize that doing 3 states doesn't always work out for us, and it's better to just do 2, and we can talk about the things as much, so we don't have to cut it at an awkward part or whatever, and there will just be more parts of this, like there will be an extra episode than what I originally planned, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, a reminder, we won't get to every urban legend out there, and we aren't necessarily covering the most popular legends from each state. The legends we choose are chosen on the basis of whether or not they would make for interesting conversation above all else. We will continue with our rating system of spooky or kooky, which means exactly what it sounds like. So with that out of the way, Mason, shall we begin?
Yeah.
Then let's
do
it. Oh.
All right, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's...
Nah, it's fine. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Our journey... No, you don't want to?
No, okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Our journey begins in the Constitution State, Connecticut. Since the 1800s, there's been a very interesting, persistent urban legend about a man wrapped in leather. Many in Connecticut have heard the tale of the wandering vagrant who traveled in an endless 365-mile circle between the Connecticut and Hudson rivers. This strange man would mostly only speak with grunts and gestures. He was dressed in crudely stitched together leather from his hat to his boots. And the Leatherman, as he came to be known, would only sleep outside year-round, and mostly in caves around the Connecticut and New York area. Some claim...
Is he the world's first gimp?
Yes. No. He just wore a hat. He didn't, he should have had a cool face leather mask.
Well, I'm just imagining the gimp from Pulp Fiction, you know?
Yeah. No, that's him. Yeah, he was based on this guy.
He couldn't talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he could, I guess, but he didn't because, the zipper or whatever.
Right. Some claim that he stashed valuables and loads of money in those caves, while others stay away from the caves, believing they are still inhabited by the spirit of the mysterious old Leatherman. So that's just the legend. What do you think of this strange wandering man? And I've included a picture here for you to look at. He's a very gruff and scary looking man just because
he just looks like a homeless man.
He looks like, to me, he looks like literally anybody from the 1800s. You could have said this was the top general of the Union Army, and I would have been like, yep, sure.
Yeah, he does probably look like Grant after he went on like one of his famous drunk benders.
Yeah.
But, it was kind of scarier when I got to imagine what he looked like. Seeing the picture, it's... he just looks like a homeless guy. Like I particularly, I guess he's he's like the type of homeless man I'd like cross the street to avoid. I guess he looks like he would like scream at me. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he's just a dude.
Yeah. So it's a fun one, but it's not spooky. It's just kind of like I don't know. The legend itself to me is just kind of kooky because it's like, okay, a guy walked around and he stashed money supposedly in caves. Sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing by the looks of him, he didn't stash any money in those caves.
No. But it should be noted that much like the legend of Hooky Jack, who I love with all my heart, God bless him.
I did love Hooky Jack.
This legend is indeed based in fact, and the Leatherman was very much a real person. What makes the Leatherman stand out from the rest of America's wandering vagrants is how precise he was in his journey. He would always arrive at the same place every 34 days. It is believed that he first appeared in Connecticut around 1862. From the beginning, people were fascinated with him and wanted to know who he was and where he came from. Some families were so fond of the man that they took it upon themselves to offer him food and shelter every time he came around. He never accepted the offer of shelter, but would gladly take their food, thanking them with a grunt and gesture, and only a handful of times was he heard trying to speak broken English and uttering some phrases in French, which many speculate might have been his native tongue.
Hi, Mr. Leatherman. Would you like? We've got sandwiches in a bed for you. Is that a? Do you want the sandwiches in the bed? Oh, are you? Oh, you're aggressively just nodding at the sandwiches. You want the sandwiches? Oh, okay, yes, okay. Here are the sandwiches. Did you want the bed? Oh, okay. All right, take the sandwiches. Okay, kids, get back inside. Okay, bye. We'll talk to you.
Yeah. So he never. He never
and then
stayed.
as he leaves, he's just like, bonjour.
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 Once he finished his meal, he would always continue on his journey. Only once was he late. In the blizzard of 1888, the Leatherman found himself staying in a hospital due to his failing health, quite possibly due to cancer.
Wait, what do you mean he was late?
Oh, he always was on time every time with his trip. Like, always arrived precisely at the same time at every place.
He was like walking in like a big circle around the state?
365-mile circle between the Connecticut and Hudson rivers. So between Connecticut and New York. And so let's say you lived in one of the towns in between. If he arrived there one day at 9, every 34 days he would be there at 9. You know what I mean? Like, he always got to the same spots at the exact same time. The only time was in 1888 because of the blizzard. He was like late by 4 days. But he people liked this guy so much that like there was supposedly even like teachers who would award the best pupil with the ability to like feed the Leatherman. Like, he was just like this well-liked. He never talked to anyone. He was just like, sometimes people said that if they tried to like talk to him or learn more about him, he would never come back to your house. Like, he would grunt at you angrily and never return to your house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
A strange guy.
It's typically 1800s that they were like, you know, you can feed him like a stray dog.
Yeah. You can pet him too if you get an A on this paper. You can spray. You can hose down the Leatherman when he comes into town.
Just like, I just imagine he's like a kid going to pet him. He's like, and the kid's like, shh, and like,
sugar cube,
like petting his arm, and he's just like,
Yeah, the teacher's just standing by like a fucking horse trainer, and he's like, you gotta approach him calmly, hands up.
Yeah.
Give him
Just
the sugar cube.
beaming from ear to ear. Just, yeah. Oh my god, that's fucking insane.
He would go on to die the following year after he was late, reportedly in one of his many caves. He was buried in a pauper's grave in Sparta Cemetery in Ossining, New York, or Ossining, yeah. His grave became a very popular location among locals, and in 2011, the town's historical society decided to move him to a more central location, as the previous one was too close to the highway, and they also wanted to try and see if they could perform tests on the remains and quite possibly identify the mysterious man, who was previously falsely identified as Jules Bourglet. That didn't sound French.
Jules Bourglet.
There you go.
Bourglet. Borg.
Due to a story that circulated during his lifetime that told how he was the disgraced suitor of the daughter of one of France's foremost leather speculators.
No.
I think this Jules guy was a real guy, but then people saw the Leatherman and were like, oh, that's him, because this Jules guy, apparently after he ruined this guy's business, he like fled France, and he was never heard from. So then when this guy showed up in Connecticut, people were like, that's him.
It's
and
him,
and he's paying penance by wearing this 60 pounds of leather on him.
Well, that's the thing too, is it's like, no, it's not that. There's no. I'll tell you what the backstory is for this guy right now, Jose. Mm-hmm. He was a crazy man who walked around a giant circle, living in caves and wearing whatever clothes he was able to stitch together.
Yeah. It was all leather, too.
Leather
like
man.
Boots.
Yeah, I saw that.
From his toes to his fucking head. Apparently the people believe that he was Jules after having inadvertently brought the financial ruin of the Laren family. Bourglet fled France, mysteriously surfaced in Connecticut. His first recorded appearance occurred in Harrington in 1858, and embarked on his lifelong and wordless penance. But this still persistent tale has since been debunked. And when they dug up the grave, they found... this is the weirdest part. When they dug up the grave, they found nothing but a few coffin nails. This has only fueled the mystery around the old Leatherman. Did his body completely decompose, or was he perhaps never buried there? Maybe he never died and continues to carry out his journey to this day. But yeah.
I doubt that. I bet he's dead.
Oh, no, he definitely died.
He's definitely dead.
He probably definitely decomposed. I think it was like, it would have been like 120-something years before.
How long do bones ever
Well,
decompose?
I don't know. It's strange because only coffin nails, like not even anything else was found.
Right.
And so, but I just think probably what happened was he just died and they just threw him in a ditch somewhere, and then somebody set up this grave.
Right. I like to think. Well, I like to think he probably never made it to that town. They were just like, he just stopped showing up.
Yeah.
And then that town was like, he died here. We got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A better theory I have is that some very fashion-forward teens getting into streetwear dug him up and stole that sweet, sweet leather suit.
Hey, man, that's something that I would not be surprised if I saw in the next Fashion Week.
Leather on leather on leather on leather on leather.
Just a fucking skinny-ass model wearing 60 pounds of leather on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Stumbling through the runway.
Big patches stitched together like fucking Leatherface.
It's different colored fucking leather. Weird guy. Weird. It just fascinates me because I love the 1800s for this reason. There was so much weird shit that just like Cookie Jack was in the 1800s, and it's like there was all these like strange characters that just existed. Like whoever was writing at that time, like must have had the best inspiration to just draw from. Like,
well, also just the fact that he just grunted at me, you know, like that's the weirdest part.
Yeah.
Like, I guess but you know, you'd think he would have learned a little enough English, you know, it's like.
But even people who speak broken English, they still speak it. They don't just go,
Well, yeah, that's true too, but I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like, he was like crazy. He was probably just crazy.
Or he had a really high-pitched voice. They're just like, Leatherman, would you like to stay inside? And he's like, oh, I would like to say thank you, but I will be turning down your offer to stay inside. And they're like, whoa, what the fuck?
He got laughed out of that town. He had to move states, and then he just grunted from there on.
Yeah. Weird guy. Okay, next one. Tucked away in the woods of Middlebury.
Sorry, or I just in France. I'm just imagining, you know, he's like, his mother's like, one day, Jacques, you will be the most famous singer in the world, and he's like, do you think so, Mama? And he's like 20 at that point, and he's like. And she's like, yes, they will love you. And he's like, I'm going to America. And he gets to America, and he's like, whoa. And they're just immediately like, fuck you, you suck.
You fucking pansy.
I will never talk again. If my name isn't Jacques, high voice Leatherman.
Yeah, that's almost definitely what happened. Tucked away in the woods of Middlebury is a complex of crumbling doll-sized houses and strange structures next to the remain of an old stone house. This is the Little People's Village. There are two very popular legends surrounding the strange landmark. The first tells of a married couple, which some variations of the story include that the wife was a witch, like, you know, naturally.
As you would,
who were living peacefully in the woods of Middlebury. One day, the wife began to see fairies. These small folks were gathering in the woods around their home, and in order to accommodate them, the wife demanded that her husband build a tiny village for them. As the years passed and the village grew, the magic began to fade, replaced instead with madness. The abandoned Smurf-like village stands as a marker of the couple's demise. The second story...
told you, Barbara, they're not fairies. They don't need a village. I'm not building them a blacksmith shop.
A fucking one of the little things just breaks a glass bottle. It's like, listen, you smurfing son of a smurf.
Holy cow, my Jesus Christ. Okay,
I'm gonna build us a goddamn Smurf village right now or we'll fucking gouge your eyes out.
Oh my god, okay,
Jesus.
I'll build you the Smurf village. I'm sorry. Just
I mean,
put the tiny bottle away.
15 seconds. The second story tells of a man living in the stone house alone. One day, he heard the voices of the little people who instructed him to build the village. Eventually, he was driven insane by the voices that now seemed to be inside his head, and he committed suicide in those woods.
Hey, Jose.
Hello, who's there?
We're little people. Build us a house. Build us a whole village.
You're little people? How can I hear you? What is going on? How is this happening? What is going on?
Don't fucking look into it. Just build us a village.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. Put a tiny whorehouse right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel comfortable with that.
I didn't ask if you felt comfortable with it, Jose. Okay. I told you to build us a tiny whorehouse on the corner.
I'll build a tiny whorehouse, okay?
Okay, build a tiny whorehouse. Good.
Just installing tiny little... I guess a whorehouse is different than a strip club, because I was going to say installing little, like, poles for the pole dancers. Maybe there was
a porn theater next to it.
Building a tiny little theater. Just you set up your phone to project fucking... So he committed suicide. Many of those who visit the site report that it's haunted by the spirits of the little people or the ghosts of the tormented victims of theirs, and that a strong energy is felt, and if you linger too long, you too will be driven mad by the voices of the little people. There's also what many believe to be a throne that is present there, and legend says if you sit on it, you will die within 7 years' time.
Can you sit on it? How big is the throne?
I think you can. I should have included a picture of the throne, but it's not like human-sized throne. It's not really a throne either. It's probably was like part of a garden piece.
It's like one of those kindergarten chairs.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think? Spooky or kooky? The little people. Do you see the picture of that little tiny house?
Yeah, and it looks just like tacky lawn decor.
Yeah, but it was like a whole system. I mean, now not a lot of it remains because people vandalized it, but it's a weird thing. Like if I stumbled on that in the woods, I would be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I think some probably crazy dude built a tiny village, and then he was like, and then I'm going to put a little throne here, and then I'm going to sit on that throne,
and I'll be the
king. I'm king of the little village
I'm the
now.
Papa Smurf. And he rips off Papa Smurf's beard and he puts it on. He's just got a tiny little soul patch.
And Ted and Kevin from school, they can't bully me here, where I'm king of the little... Yeah, it's not even a crazy dude. It was probably just a real lonely kid.
Yeah.
That was like... He would run home at night and he'd be like, the little people are my only friends. And his parents would be like, oh, that's great. And then they just look at each other.
Like, beep, 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 beep. Hello, Dr. Francis, it's getting much worse.
That's what, instead of the married couple being driven insane, it was just a married couple being driven to divorce by their son who was lonely and like weird. And they were just like, the kid would be like, or the dad would be like, stop being so fucking weird. And the mom would be like, don't yell, he's fine. and then they ended up just getting a divorce, and the kid was,
The dad walks into the kid's room and he's like, I want you to know the divorce is
shit-faced. Yeah.
It's your fault and your goddamn little people.
Why can't you be normal? Just play football.
I do play football, Papa, with the little people. I made them tiny uniforms.
Look, and then he like holds up his hand and he's got like helmets on each one of his fingers.
Yeah, what do you think? Spooky or kooky then?
It was kind of spooky until I made that whole backstory to it, and now it makes me laugh. It's kind of, yeah. I mean, I'd be kind of creeped out if I walked into the middle of a forest and found,
I'd say
a tiny village. It's kind of spooky.
It's
I guess.
A fun, it's like a fun spooky, like a kooky spooky almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Now the real story behind this puzzling site's creation isn't so strange. While many believed that it was once on a trolley line that went to nearby Quasi amusement park, and was an attraction linked to the park, this, however, is not the case. Its true history lies in 1924 when the property was bought by William Joseph Lannon, who built a gas station there.
And a tiny gas station next to it.
At the time, the road beside the property was a major stopping point between Middlebury and Waterbury. But in 1928, a new route was built that took drivers away from there, and so Lannon began converting the doomed gas station into a nursery. He planted trees and colorful flowers, and began to build the infamous Little People's Village. Using brick, concrete, ceramic, and metal, he made small houses, churches, and a lighthouse, as well as steps and rainwater collecting pools. Electric lights would even light up some of the houses. The nursery never came to pass, however. After marrying and getting a new job, Lannon abandoned the village to nature, and after Lannon died in the 50s, the land was sold to a private buyer who still owns it to this day. From there, the legend was born one day, and so it remains to this smurfing day.
Well, that's like, that's... yeah, I mean, it just sounds like John, or it was John, right? John Lannon?
Yeah, John Lannon.
It just sounds like...
William Joseph, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know where I got John from, sorry. It sounds like he was just like...
Right, from John Lennon.
Bad businessman.
Yeah.
It did sound like John.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean...
I like how we went...
Who's like, this is gonna be a nursery.
Yeah.
And the first step of building a nursery is, of course, the tiny village outside of it. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, he was like, oh no, my gas station didn't work. You know where there's money? Nurseries. I'm going to build a nursery.
And it's just like that. What is his first step in making a nursery?
Is to make these very detailed miniature houses.
Tiny villages. Yes. What the fuck? Like, that's... no, John. I keep calling him John. No, William. Fucking build the nursery part first. Where are you going to keep the babies at? Well, I haven't got that far yet. But if they get tired of being inside wherever that place is gonna be, they can come outside to this tiny village that I made. Look, when I flip the switch, some of the lights come on.
He builds like working electric and plumbing into the houses.
Yes, look, if I touch this button, this toilet will flush. That's great, John, but God damn it, that's great, William, but where do the babies
We
sleep?
invested $50,000 into this. We're not getting our money back, are we?
Also, that's a good point now that you brought that up. Listen, I'm going to need another $50,000.
What are you going to use
Because the first $50,000, well, obviously, as you can see, the first $50,000 went into this tiny little village. The next $50,000 will definitely go into the baby part of it mostly, but also...
Yeah, we're not...
Maybe a 50. Hold on, I'm not done. But like only like like most of it, but like 10 of that will go into I was thinking about they need like a sports like a football field, like a stadium, because they're gonna have a football team, and
well,
obviously stadiums aren't cheap. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna need that.
We're pulling out of this project. You've lost your mind.
I haven't lost my mind. How could I have lost my mind if someone that's telling me that is just a voice in it? Boom. You've done it again, William. You've done it again. They're going to love this tiny
beep,
village.
Beep, beep. It's getting worse.
Hey, Mom? Was that you?
The final story out of Connecticut might be familiar to fans of horror films, as it has actually made an appearance on the big screen in the film The Conjuring before getting films of its own. That's right, we're talking about the infamous Annabelle the Doll. Annabelle is a doll that supposedly has a demon attached to it and is capable of moving on its own and inflicting harm upon people. She resides in the Warrens Occult Museum in Connecticut.
Is that a real thing?
Annabelle?
No, the Warrens Occult Museum?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those guys were assholes.
Well, I don't know. But the real Annabelle is...
Sorry.
we'll get into it.
Sued. I don't want to get sued by the Warrens.
Well, Ed and Lorraine are no longer alive. It's their son-in-law who runs all of it now. And
to be honest, I mean, I make fun of him, but also I would go to that museum in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's another place that has to go on our list, is their occult museum in Connecticut.
Also... Just while this is up, I meant to text you this the other day. There's in Santa Barbara, there's a bar called the Jury Room, and it's where Ed Kemper would go after killing his people and talk. That's where he would go. It's like a cop bar that he would go talk to the police at.
Oh,
and so he would get updates on the case, and it's still open.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah,
okay, so that's on the list
that
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the real Annabelle is not exactly like the menacing porcelain doll seen on the big screen. As a matter of fact, the real Annabelle is actually an oversized Raggedy Ann doll. This is her story, according to Ed and Lorraine Warren, famed paranormal investigators who investigated a wide variety of infamous cases such as the Amityville House, the Perron family haunting, which is the haunting that The Conjuring is based on, and the Southington, Connecticut haunting, which A Haunting in Connecticut is also based on, and many, many more.
They also did the one that Conjuring 2 was based on.
Exactly, yes. The doll was reportedly a gift for a 27-year-old nurse from her mother, given as a cute little decoration piece for her new apartment. This young lady...
Nothing says like I'm an independent 27-year-old woman like a doll
oversized
on your...
Raggedy Ann doll.
Like a giant doll hanging out in your apartment. Cheyenne makes me get rid of all my Winnie the Pooh bears that I have hanging out all over ours.
Aw, man.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, how else are people going to know that like we're trendy and get it?
That's what, every time I went over and I saw those, I was like, oh, you guys are trendy. Yeah, they get it.
You're with it.
Okay, cool. So you guys are like hip. All right. This podcast episode will not be allowed in China because we mentioned Winnie the Pooh. This
Oh
young
yeah,
lady.
sorry. I meant the cartoon, not the leader of that communist hellhole, that oppressive nightmare of a country.
This young lady was named Donna.
All right, I guess that's the end of that. Are you being paid by China? Like you just
No.
shut down? Hey Mason, listen.
I'm just
You
texting.
gotta
I'm
roll
like,
it back
hey,
with the
hey,
China.
hey, real quick. Is it Xi or Jinping or whatever is the one funding this entire podcast? We are
Listen,
being
I don't know
funded
his
by-
name, but I know how his money spends, and it's really well. So leave it alone.
You like those boots you got last week? Yeah, don't bring him up again. In the beginning, this young lady was named Donna and had a roommate by the name of Angie. Both of the women were nurses.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm just like, hey, Donna, again, can we not, like, I got a guy coming over. Can we put the giant doll away? Like, I just thought maybe we could look like we're adults living in an apartment together, not like children. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, the doll has to stay. It makes people realize that we're cool and hip and trendy, and we get it, you know? In the beginning, the activity was small and mostly unnoticeable or harmless. The doll would be found sitting in a different position than how she was left. For example, Donna would leave the doll with its arms and legs straight, and they would return to find it with its legs crossed and arms in different positions. As the haunting went on, the doll would suddenly be found in different rooms of the apartment than where it was left. There was reportedly one time when the girls found the doll kneeling near the doorway, and when they tried to place it in a kneeling position themselves, found it was impossible to do so because it's a fucking Raggedy Ann doll, and it has nothing to keep it up.
It's just a little floppy.
Right.
Yeah.
The girls would claim that they then began to find notes seemingly written by the doll with a pencil on parchment, but when they searched the apartment, couldn't find any parchment paper.
The first note was, I love you, with the W. That's how they knew it was the doll.
That terrified them. They began to suspect that perhaps someone was breaking in and playing a joke on them, and so they changed the locks and secured the windows. You know, like how people break in and leave a doll in various different locations. And
Yeah, not just murder and steal from people. Yeah,
that's the kind of breaking and entering I do. I just break into my neighbor's house and I leave something that wasn't there before. So when they wake up, they're like, "What the fuck is this? Where did this?"
I break into people's houses and just spit in their ears, so they wake up and they're like, what the fuck?" And then
It's
I'm like,
ectoplasm. I do something else in their ears. Anyway, but when they... Honey, do ghosts have white ectoplasm?
No, I drip green food coloring in afterwards.
Okay. But after so they changed the lock, secured the windows. After this, the haunting became much more aggressive. Things would often levitate before crashing down onto the floor. They would also discover things in their apartment that didn't belong to either of the girls. One such example is one day the girls found a boot-shaped piece of chocolate on their stereo cabinet.
A boot-shaped piece
Yeah,
of
like a little chocolate boot.
Hey, is this?
Hang on.
Where'd this piece of chocolate shaped like Italy go? Wait a minute, that's not Italy. That's a boot. Oh,
My one fear, cowboy shoes.
cowboy shoes.
The girls decided they had enough and called a medium in to help them. The Warrens...
I've had enough of this nonsense. Let's call a medium.
The Warrens made the point that this only agitated the demon living in the apartment, who tricked the medium.
Yeah. Are you telling me you called in a medium after this?
Yeah, we were really scared.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic rookie move. See, when mediums come in, it just pisses ghosts off.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, you should have called us first. Because we're not mediums. Well, my wife, she talks to the ghosts.
We're larges.
Well, she's a... God damn it, I just... way to go, dumbass. You should have called Ghostbusters, not the medium. Fucking rookies.
So, the Warrens made the point that this agitated the demon, who tricked the medium into thinking it was the spirit of a young girl who had died on the vacant lot that the apartment was built on, and that her name was Annabelle Higgins. When the medium...
My name...
My
name is Annabelle Higgins. Was you that... I was gonna eat you so... Eat you so...
I'm hearing the spirit. It's a simple, innocent little girl.
Ah, it's me. I'm a simple little innocent girl.
Wait, what? Hang on. I'm hearing something else.
I'm an innocent girl.
It's still just an innocent little girl.
Yeah.
It's the demons are just like the demons that possess the fucking girl from The Exorcism in Iowa.
Yeah,
I'm just a little girl.
Yeah.
I just want some Little Caesars. Get some Little Caesars up in here. It's a little girl who is starving for Little Caesars. You must get Little Caesars now.
You can tell I'm a little girl by the wants me of Little Caesars, because they're little and I'm little.
You know how little girls love Little Caesars, and they want you to get some crazy bread too, please.
And a Diet Pepsi. I'm watching my figure.
When the medium asked why the spirit was attached to the doll, the demon spun a lie, saying that it was just lonely and wanted to play, taking advantage of the girl's caring nature. The demon then...
Okay, I'm just gonna put this on record now that if a ghost comes into my house and is like, I'm just lonely, I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
I'm just
You're
a widow.
ghost.
I'm just a widow, lonely ghost.
Shut the fuck up,
I ain't gonna
ghost.
hurt you.
No, I don't give a shit. Get out of my house. You're a ghost, and I don't want you here.
Come on, just give me some Little
regardless of your
Caesars
age.
pizza. What's the big deal?
Whoa.
I just want some pizza.
Whoa.
Come on.
Whoa, actually, okay, you seem kind of cool. Actually, I'll get the Little Caesars for you.
The demon then asked for permission to stay with the girls and live inside the doll. The girls, believing there was no harm in the request, gave their permission.
Yeah, it's just a ghost.
And it was after the mediums... It's so fucking stupid. I would never. Like, I don't care. Like, it's like you said. If it's I don't care. I don't want you here. Like...
But also, I mean, what?
You're just gonna live with a ghost in a doll?
I'm sure there's some significant... Yeah, this is a third roommate, Annabelle.
This is a
she's
fucking
she's a little
sitcom.
ghost. She's just walking around like, oh, hey, Donna, can I have some pizza? Little Caesars, please. Stop! You can't have that you don't have a stomach, you're a doll, Annabelle. You can't have Little Caesars.
Please?
All right, I'll get Little Caesars for you. But also, I know there's going to be some, like significance in the fact that they gave the permission, but the demon was already living there, so does it matter?
Okay, so from my understanding, and I would love it if somebody were to correct me on this, but when, like, a haunting occurs with a demon, they first, like, the activity is always low level because they haven't, like, when you invite them in, when you give them permission, it sort of emboldens them, and it makes it so that if you try to remove them, the removal is a lot harder because you've given permission. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, they're just like a bad house guest.
Yeah. Like, will you
They're
let
just
me
like-
stay here, so...
Yeah, they come over. It's like the guy who, like comes over all the time and, like, just eats food from your, refrigerator without asking.
Right.
But then the time that you ask him if, like, he's down on his luck and you're like, you want to stay? And then he's there, like, 4 months later.
Exactly.
Just, like, fucking jizzing on your couch every day.
I didn't mean to jizz on your couch, okay? I don't know why you're throwing that in my face again. I thought we were over this.
Well, to be fair, you threw it in my face the first time.
It was an accident! I thought you were...
I know you were startled, but still.
That's my defense mechanism. What do you want me to do? Okay, so... They let them in, right? They let the demon in.
They let the wrong one in.
Yes. It was after the medium's visit that things really took a turn for the worse. One day, the girls came home to find the doll on the couch with 3 drops of blood on its chest and blood smears on the back of its hand. Donna panicked and called her boyfriend.
Oh no, this
Lou.
is just pizza sauce.
Oh no, don't worry. It's not a big deal. It was a lot of tomato sauce. It wasn't the best pizza. What do you want me to say? I got the deep dish today. I felt like being adventurous. So she calls her boyfriend Lou to come over. And this is when shit gets real. When Lou arrived, he took the doll and placed it in a bedroom and closed the door. A few moments later...
Just put it in the trash, you idiots.
Right? A few moments later...
I can only imagine being that boyfriend that, like, he's like, what? I'm sorry, you're... Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, so the doll, yeah, it's a doll. Okay,
Just
yeah,
fucking opens the window and
what do you want it
onto
to
the
do?
fucking street.
So you can't get, okay, why don't we, do you want it we'll put it in the bedroom. Okay, Donna, the doll's in the bedroom. Did you want to go out to dinner tonight, or?
Well, we can't. The doll.
Right, okay, I guess we'll just hang out again.
Oh no, the doll's going crazy, Lou. So he put it in the bedroom, closed the door. A few moments later, they were startled by the sounds of loud banging and screaming coming from the room. When Lou entered the room to investigate, he found the doll crumpled up in the corner, but was also met with the uneasy feeling that something was standing behind him. When he turned to face the stranger, he was attacked. An invisible hand began to choke him and claw at his chest. 7 claw marks crisscrossed his chest. They bled profusely, but then healed at an alarming rate.
You're not the delivery man.
You brought Domino's, you goddamn idiot. I said Little Caesars.
Little Caesars. I'm gonna scratch it into your chest. L-I-T-T.
It just scratches pizza into his chest. Within 48 hours, there was no sign of the attack upon his body. The girls...
okay, so it's not that bad then.
Exactly. The girls would reach out to a local priest, who in turn reached out to his friends, Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're like the cameo appearance in a fucking... like in a TV show. When the Warrens arrived, they interviewed Donna, Angie, and Lou at the same time. It was
they're the experts that Pawn Stars calls.
Yeah, exactly. It was at this point that Lou confessed he had a previously untold strange encounter with the doll. He told them how he had awoken one night to find the doll at his feet, but watched helplessly as it climbed up him and began to strangle him. It was as if he was paralyzed and unable to defend himself.
It's just I didn't tell you this, Donna. It was just that when it started choking me, I was really into it.
Just imagine a fucking rag doll climbing up under the chest of a grown-ass man and choking him with its sock fucking hands.
I'm imagining like it's like the doll is like furiously like shaking, you know, while straight, and he's just like,
He's just
it's
like,
not.
I mean, you're not that heavy.
It's like a tie. It's like a tie. It's like I'm wearing a tie.
He just fucking
a little
pushes
too tight.
her off. It tries to get back on him again. Stop. Oh my god, stop.
He's like doing that thing where he holds it in the forehead and it's like trying to like walk at him and it's just like standing there because he's pushing it back.
After sharing their stories, the girls confessed they were planning on moving out of the apartment. Ed told them that it wouldn't help. Ed stated that all of the gestures the doll made, the transportation of the doll around the apartment, the letters written on parchment, and the 3 drops of blood, a mockery of the Trinity, all proved there had been intent behind the entity's action. This is one determining factor that separates a haunting from a demonic infestation. Spirits don't have that kind of ability. Only something inhuman has this type of power. The Warrens...
Wait, the power to do what?
like... I don't know. I don't know what he meant. Hang on. This is a determining... I don't know what the fuck he meant by that. I think he means like... An entity... like a spirit is never going to make a mockery of the Trinity. It's always going to be something... demonic, right?
If I'm a ghost, I'm gonna do that.
A spirit can't write shit. It can't, be moving. Like it doesn't have the power to move. A spirit cannot move an object like a doll like that.
So how do you even know if you have a ghost?
That's a good fucking question. The Warrens then called.
Oh yeah, this is a demon. Ghosts can't move shit around like that. Oh yeah, you gotta fucking.
Yeah, no, you gotta. This Little Caesars pizza is fucking amazing. You gotta...
Wait.
Wait, is this Little Caesars
is Little
pizza?
Caesars?
Oh my fucking god, Lorraine. Go get the Bible.
This is the difference. This is the real difference. Yeah. Ghosts can do all that shit, but they don't love Little Caesars.
Demons do for some reason. We don't know why.
Ghosts are really more of chicken.
They'll get Kentucky
they ask for
Fried
Popeyes
Chicken. Or a Popeyes, yeah.
You got a ghost. They ask for Little Caesars. Well, that's a big demon there. Unless they're demons, they just go for dominoes.
The Warrens then called a priest to come perform an exorcism and bless the apartment and everything in it. You see,
No. So these people went to a priest, and the priest went to the Warrens, and the Warrens went to a priest?
So the priest went to the Warrens for them to investigate it first, because he wasn't sure what it was, right? He calls them, but Ed and Lorraine Warren...
Turns out you guys were right all along. You just need a priest.
So Ed and Lorraine aren't... They never performed exorcisms, because that's one thing that the Conjuring movies gets wrong, is that Ed and Lorraine Warren never performed exorcisms, because they were
just
not...
walked around and were like, yeah, this place is definitely haunted. Oh, you see this soft spot in the wall here? Yeah, that's a ghost.
Because they weren't ordained, and so they couldn't do it. You have to be an ordained priest to be able to perform an exorcism. So they never did it. So that's why they called a priest.
Right. They just knew when ghosts were there.
Yes. Well, and Lorraine was a clairvoyant, so she, and Ed was a demonologist. So you could do everything but the exorcism.
I got my degree at Phoenix What's the online college?
Yeah, I think it's
Phoenix University.
Yeah, I think so.
I got my degree in demonology
at Stephen Henniger's College. You see, according to Ed Warren, a demon can only attach itself to an object, not possess it. It can only possess people. After the priest finished, Donna requested that the Warrens take the doll with them, and so they did. Oh, what? You laughed. I thought you were going to...
The priest finished.
Oh.
The priest did. He finished. He finished in the house.
But it didn't end there. Ed was concerned that the demon had not detached itself from the doll, so he placed it in the back seat of the car. And on their drive home, it seemed like their new... On the drive home, it seemed like their new cars...
No, stop! He fucking... I think there's a... Lorraine, I'm worried there's still a demon attached to this. We
Throw
better
it in the
put this
fucking
one...
trunk.
We better put this one in the back seat.
We better put it in the baby seat.
No. Don't hold this one in your lap, Lorraine. This one needs to go in the back seat. There's still a powerful demon attached to it, and only the power of the back seat of this Camaro is going to help us.
And on their drive home, it seemed like their new car stalled at every dangerous curve, with the power steering and brakes failing at every stall. The third time it happened, Ed pulled the car to the side of the road and pulled out a vial of holy water and tossed it on the doll and made the sign of the cross on its forehead, and things remained quiet until they reached their home.
You know what? If we almost die on one more turn, I'm going to suspect that demon is still back there. All right, demon, you've got me. Hold on.
I want Little Caesars.
Flicking it.
Get Little Caesars. Get Little Caesars.
I'm flicking on it like pickle juice would.
Damn
You
it.
flick pickle juice. Yeah, all right. We'll be fine now. Oh, almost forgot the cross. Boop, boop. All right, that stopped it.
Originally, Ed just left the doll in a chair next to his desk in his office. The doll would be...
I think there's a demon still attached to it. We better put it in the back
like
seat. But
this
then
is
they
the
get
part
home
that baffles
and it's like,
me, that he's just like, I'm going to put it in right next to where I do my work.
It can help me. Ed, you should do that one.
You think we should take this case?
Yeah, you should do that one. I think I got a buddy there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me some Little Caesars pizza. We'll call it.
Can we stop on the way?
You're not coming with us on this one.
No.
The last time you came on an investigation, you charged a bunch of pizzas to the family's credit card account.
What can I say? I'm a demon.
Originally, Ed just left the doll in a chair next to his desk. The doll would begin to levitate and then fall inert. A few days later, the doll began showing up in other rooms of the house. And on one occasion, when the Warrens were away, the doll was locked in an outside storage building. When they returned, it was found upstairs in the house, sitting in Ed's easy chair. When Annabelle made her return, she did not come alone. She brought with her a friend, a black cat that would sometimes...
This is that buddy I was talking about.
A black cat that sometimes would materialize besides the doll.
Oh, that's the best. That would be the best.
I was
haunting.
thinking, like, you would like this kind of haunt.
I would love a haunting that was just a black cat, a ghost cat that just showed up in my house. I'd be like, this is the best.
The cat would make its way around Ed's office, inspecting books or other haunted objects before returning to Annabelle's side and dematerializing from head down.
That was the best. All I want is that.
It was also said
It's just a ghost cat?
Yeah,
it
pretty
does
much.
normal cat shit, but it's a ghost?
Yep.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It was also said by the Warrens that whenever a holy man was present at the home or on the phone, the doll would produce loud growling sounds that would reverberate around the house. Annabelle would remain in the Warren home for some months until the day when there was an attack on a priest at a large social gathering in their home. While in conversation with Lorraine Warren, Father Jason Bradford saw something moving out of the corner of his eye. Seconds later, a 24-inch boar's tooth necklace exploded above them. The noise was so loud that other guests heard it and ran into the kitchen. A nearby guest had been taking a photograph at the time of the occurrence, and when the film was developed, all appeared normal with the exception of 2 beams of light that were coming from Annabelle and pointing directly at Father Bradford. After this, Ed would open the Occult Museum, where Annabelle would find her new permanent home behind a glass in a case marked with the words, "Warning, positively do not open."
Once again. Okay, so all this demon shit is happening for like months, and the Warrens are just like, all right,
Okay.
whatever. And then finally it's like, all right, he almost killed someone. Put him in a box with a sign.
Well, I just, to their defense, I suppose, if you're so used to being around shit like this, what's a doll moving around the house? You know, I'm assuming they had all sort of wacky adventures with their haunted items. But Mason, do you fear her or do you sneer at her? And it should be noted that the last person who disregarded her as nothing more than a doll and opened the case, according to Ed Warren, crashed his motorcycle into a tree shortly after leaving the museum.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't really
you're gonna die
believe it.
now, so I hope you're happy.
Well, I didn't open
Nope.
the case. Well, because, like, I don't know, there's no evidence of any of this shit happening. It's just the Warrens saying this happened, and I don't believe them any more than I believe any other people who would just say this happened with no evidence that it happened.
But so it's all kooky to you, then.
Yeah.
I think it's kooky to me too, but for the reason that I just don't find her menacing. Like Robert the Doll. Have you heard of Robert the Doll, the one that inspired Chucky?
No.
He's another doll that also kind of same shit happened with him, but he kind of looks a little weirder to me, so like he would be more menacing. Like if Annabelle looked like how she does in the movies, then maybe I would be like, that's spooky. Like imagine that doll doing that shit to you. But a fucking Raggedy Ann doll, I don't...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to completely discount the story. I think it's believable, but I think it's kooky for me.
Yeah, and I should be clear, I think the Warrens are the ultimate, they are the MCU of horror movies, and I love that. I think I love
the cinematic Warrens a lot. I don't know.
Well, and I even love just, the stories of the Warrens, but I just don't believe, I don't believe them. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I think their stories are great. I think I think the idea of what they are pretty cool, but I just don't think that I just don't really believe them when that they talk about. Because I remember, I don't know, and maybe I shouldn't even bring this up. You can cut this if you need to, but it was like a clip of someone was accusing Warren of the Warrens of being fake or whatever. And their best response to that was just well, we believe in God, and God says believe without evidence. So
yeah,
and I was like, well, okay. Well, it's and also, I mean, do they have any pictures of hauntings and shit from all their research?
Yes,
I've seen some from the. Okay, maybe I should read his book. I guess because I've seen some of the pictures from the Conjuring 2, the England, haunted house. I forget their names, but and that was pretty interesting. But also, the Warrens didn't even do that much there. If you want more information on the Conjuring 2 haunting in England, you should listen to the last podcast. They did a great episode on it, and they broke down the Warrens were there for 2 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
no, that's
it was
the thing.
2 other investigators did everything for it, and but still, I like the Conjuring stuff. Yeah. I guess so.
Mason, let's do an ad.
Okay.
Mason, you know what's something that I've recently wanted to start doing more of?
Anything productive to your mental or physical health?
No, actually, I've been wanting to start reading more, but I just find
okay, but you should really start doing something about your mental and physical health.
But I just find myself so busy sometimes that I just don't have time to sit down and actually devote time to physically reading a book.
Are you exercising and going to therapy in the times that's why you're so busy?
No.
Okay, well, all right. Well, you know what? It's fine. I got a thing for you, Jose. Have you ever heard of Audible?
Audible?
No, you dummy. It's Audible. The things we've been doing ads for him for like 10 episodes now. What? You write these ad breaks. Do you not know? How do you not know what Audible is?
I
I hate you. I want to do this podcast with someone else. Audible. Audible boasts a collection of thousands of audiobooks, and the thing that Audible offers busy people who don't have time to sit down and read a book is found time, which is the ability to listen to a great audiobook when you're on the move, while commuting, cooking, exercising, gardening, or they got great books on learning how to pay fucking attention to your podcast co-host while we read ad breaks.
And right now, you can get a 30-day free trial by going to audibletrial.com/captainslog or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'm
sorry, so you knew that information beforehand, but you still forgot what Audible was?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm recommending one of my favorite books, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee and narrated by Carrie herself, Sissy Spacek.
If audiobooks aren't your thing, they also have a huge collection of podcasts, guided wellness programs, theatrical performances, A-list comedy, and exclusive Audible originals you won't find anywhere else. So fucking give it a try, why don't you?
Go get started on your 30-day free trial now by going to audibletrial.com/captainslog or again by clicking the link in the show notes. And you'll be helping us out while helping yourself out. So go get started now and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Next, we travel to America's smallest state, the ocean state of Rhode Island. The year...
It's the ocean state?
Yeah, I guess that's what it's called, the ocean state.
All right.
The year was 1892, and tuberculosis was the leading cause of death in the United States.
Make America great again.
It was known at the time as consumption, and there was no cure available for the disease, which was not understood by experts or the public at the time. And as if this wasn't bad enough, the people of Exeter, Rhode Island also had to worry about a vampire that was stalking their community. This is the legend of Mercy Brown, the last American vampire.
Mercy Brown is a great blaxploitation film name from this, the 70s, like Shaft and like Mercy Brown. That would be pretty good.
Yeah. It all started when a local farmer named George Brown lost his wife, Mary Eliza, to tuberculosis in 1884. 2 years later, his oldest daughter, Mary Olive, would also succumb to the disease. As the family members began to die one by one, the townfolk began to suspect that what was behind the untimely deaths could perhaps be something more sinister.
Something more sinister than ignorance of disease, you say?
Yes. However, the family would remain in good health until 1891, when George's son, Edwin, became ill with the disease. He retreated to Colorado Springs, hoping that the changing climate would help. In the meantime, his sister Mercy had fallen ill and succumbed to the disease, dying in January of 1892. Or so it appeared. Edwin would return to Exeter in 1892 after getting homesick and would become more ill than before. I almost said homesick.
Yeah. You know what? Well, you know what's worse than being homesick is just being sick with fucking tuberculosis.
Oh, I know I'm gonna die, but I miss my home so badly.
I surely may die if I don't return to home.
No, you're gonna die anyway.
You will surely die if you return home, sir.
This is when the townfolk began to understand what was occurring. They went to George Brown and told him of the superstition that claimed that by some unexplained and unreasonable way, in some part of the diseased relative's body, live flesh and blood can be found, and that if this was the case, they are feeding on the living who are in feeble health. They are a vampire.
Edwin, quick! We found out the problem to your family's sickness.
Yeah, I think it's tuberculosis.
No, you dumbass! Listen to this. It's probably that even though the body's undead, that the flesh and the blood is still alive, and they're sucking the living from you in order to keep being alive but also dead at the same time.
That doesn't make any sense. I think I just have tuberculosis.
What's tuberculosis?
It's a disease.
Is that the name of the vampire in the town? We're gonna get that tuberculosis and drive a stake through his heart.
Mr. Brown didn't believe the townsfolk, but reluctantly allowed them to dig up his wife and daughters to examine their corpses. When the
My God.
Love the 1800s.
We have to dig up your family, your dead daughters and wife.
What? Why?
We gotta dig them up in order to kill the vampires, dummy. Let us dig up your... Man, let's dig them up. This one's a... your youngest daughter. Oh, she's ripe smelling corpse. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Right? Yucky. Look, hey, look, Edwin. Look, I'm waving at you with her arm. Look.
Oh God.
Fuck, it fell off. Oh God, her arm. I'm just gonna tuck that back in here. Man, vampire hunting is fun.
When the town folks did exhume the bodies, they found nothing but the decaying corpses in the graves of Mary Eliza and Mary Olive. But
yep, Mary's dead. Eliza, she's dead too. Mary number 2? Yeah, definitely dead. Well, this is probably traumatizing for you, Edwin. Sorry about that.
But when they opened the casket of Mercy, they found her body was laying on its side in a nearly perfect condition. No decay, and with longer nails and hair than when she was buried.
Well, you did drop the coffin on the way in, remember?
No, it has to be a vampire. That's the vampire made me drop it.
The town folks realized that they had a vampire among them, and when they cut out her heart, sure enough, there was flesh blood within.
How long ago did she die?
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
They burned the heart and lungs and mixed them with water and gave it to Edwin in order to cure him. But it was too late for Edwin, and he succumbed to the disease. But the vampire threat had been subdued.
I'm sure the fucking tuberculosis blood and organ smoothie probably wasn't going to help a whole lot anyway.
But the vampiric threat had been subdued. Or had it. Many visitors to Chestnut Hill report seeing a woman fitting Mercy's description wandering the grounds and occasionally hear the sounds of a woman wailing being carried through the wind. So, Mason, spooky or kooky?
I mean, it's so dumb. Obviously, they're just like... Just imagining. Can you imagine if more people started dying to tuberculosis because they fucking dug through the corpse of 3 tuberculosis-ridden people, and then we're like, oh God, it's still a vampire. Quick, everybody drink the tuberculosis blood to keep it away from you.
Again, the fucking craziness of the 1800s. Like, it's just insane. Like, I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, they make fun of the Wild West so much in this. It's crazy. But then I'm like, are they really making fun, or are they just really depicting the craziness that occurred? Like,
yeah.
To me, it's kooky. Because it was clearly, I guess maybe at the time because the legend still persists that she was a vampire and is still alive. So fucking kooky to me. Get the fuck out of here. It's tuberculosis.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be spooky if, like, people went missing or something.
Exactly, right. It was just the one family, and they were like, it's a vampire.
This fucking town of dumbasses was just dug them. You know there was one Trump in that town that was like,
yeah.
There's a vampire. We're going to kill it. No problem. And he was, like, getting paid by tuberculosis.
Yeah, big tuberculosis.
Yes.
Now,
no, it's a vampire. We've got doctors. They're telling us it's a vampire.
Those doctors are in the pockets of the vampire. I wouldn't trust them. Now, okay, so you think it's kooky or you think it's spooky?
Yeah, I think it's kooky.
So unfortunately, this did happen. And at the time, there was this vampire panic sweeping through New England, which was dealing with a high number of tuberculosis cases.
Vampanic.
There you go. Author Diana Ross McCain reports that there were 18 documented instances of the exhumation of family members in suspected vampire cases throughout New England in the 18th and 19th century. But the case of Mercy Brown would be the last. It should also be noted that the local doctor Harold Metcalf, who raised his objection to the whole ordeal, assured the townsfolk that the reason for Mercy's lack of decomposition is because she had only been dead for 2 months. And was being kept above ground in a crypt in the winter until the ground would thaw out and she could be buried.
Oh my god, so it was super cold, probably.
Yep. I found a newspaper clipping of the time, and it made no mention of the longer nails or longer hair, so that seems that was just added to the legend.
Well, doesn't your hair, don't they keep growing for a little bit after you die?
I think they do, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's not crazy to think that would happen, yeah.
But no one can explain why her body wasn't in the same position. That was a weird thing.
I'm sure some asshole just dropped the coffin.
Probably, yeah.
Like when they were lowering it, I guess when they were putting it in the tomb, they just dropped one side a little quick, and the fucking body gets jostled to the side.
Yeah, and they did make her brother drink the ashes of her heart and lungs. That was a real thing that did occur.
Oh my fucking god.
Here's an interesting one, Mason. See if you can tell me who it reminds you of. It's a bit of a short one. In the forests of Cumberland lies.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Before you read this, I think I should mention. I believe that was that Bram Stoker, the guy who wrote Dracula, was inspired by that last story, I believe.
Oh yes, yeah, right.
I knew. Yeah. I've heard of that, and I thought I would just mention that real quick because that I think makes it a lot better, I guess. You know? It's like, it's fucked up, but at least some of America's greatest literature. It's just like you were saying earlier, in the 1800s, you know, to be a writer in that time. I mean, fuck, exactly. We got Dracula because of this crazy shit, so...
Yeah.
Bright side, I guess.
So, did Edwin have to drink his sister's ashes? Sure, but, like, we got Dracula, so...
Yeah.
Tough luck, Edwin. You're dead, too. It doesn't matter.
You should hear what happened for Jane Austen to write Pride and Prejudice.
Now, here's an interesting... Like I said, this tell me if who this reminds you of as I go along, okay? In the forest of Cumberland lies a camp...
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes, you got it. Okay, well, that's it. This is the legend that inspired the creation of Benedict Cumberbatch, yeah. In the forest of Cumberland lies a camp known as Camp Curana. There, they tell the stories of a disfigured maniac with long, sharp fingernails who likes to murder campers. They call him either Hotshot Charlie or Fingernails Freddie.
Hotshot Charlie.
Who does it remind you of?
Hotshot. I know, I get where you're going with this, but they called him Hotshot Charlie. He wore sunglasses and he was really cool.
He had a leather jacket on and he would go, "Hey!"
Well,
and then he would murder
to
you.
answer your question, honestly, it sounds like a mix between Freddy Krueger and Jason because it's like the camp and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the oral stories of Fingernails Freddie go back to at
Gross.
least the mid 20th century. Now this next bit, so we're talking like the 50s. So this next bit comes from the book Food for the Dead by Dr. Michael Bell. Quote, one former camper told it this way. He was a guy that lived in the woods, and because he lived in the woods for so long, his nails grew really long, and he didn't like all the noise the campers made, so they used to say, don't make noise at night because Fingernail Freddie is going to come in and claw you with his fingers with his nails.
Oh, it also reminds me of is it Tom Green or Seth Green movie Freddy Got Fingered?
I don't know. Probably Seth Green, right?
I think it's Tom Green.
Oh, okay. Don't know. What's that movie about?
It's a comedy. You don't remember the brief comedy stylings of Tom Green?
No.
He was huge for 2 years. He kind of reminded me of Sacha Baron Cohen almost. Only in the early 2000s. He had a hit of goofball comedy movies.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
And then literally he was he was married to Drew Barrymore
yeah,
for
I'm just
a single
looking at
year.
it. Yeah.
Oh
Jesus
my God.
Christ.
Yeah, no, he was huge for he made Freddy Got Fingered and everyone, he wasn't as I don't know, as controversial as Sacha Baron Cohen, but he kind of did the same kind of thing that reminds me of him, but he's not as good as him. Anyway, this is Jose and Mason Talk Tom Green, the only Tom Green podcast.
Another former camper and counselor at the camp related this story. Hotshot Charlie was a man named Charles Torrey who lived in the area of Camp Corona many, many, many years ago. He was a homesteader with his wife and 2 daughters, and he had a small log cabin and plenty of fields to grow his food. And he was always troubled by vandalism from kids who would come from the city on weekends.
I'm sorry, this is in like the 1800s is when the story took place, or?
No.
Not when the story was being told, but like when he's saying it took place.
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. This legend is very...
Well, just because he's a homesteader makes me think it's like cowboy times, but I don't know.
So they'd let out his cows and knock over his crops and give him a lot
Better
of
than
grief.
let out his crops and knock over his cows.
Exactly. So Charlie finally got himself a shotgun and filled it with rock salt. The next time the kids came, he fired at them and hit them with the rock salt. Of course, it burned and hurt, and they decided to get even. They went back and said...
That's not how getting even works. You don't get even by fucking with someone, and then they get you back for fucking with them, and then you're like, now it's time to get even. It's like, no, motherfucker.
Now you made it personal.
You just got... You were just even when he got you back. Now you're one-upping him again, you dicks.
They went back and set Charlie's cabin on fire while he was out on one of the barns. When he saw the flames, he went running into the cabin knowing that his wife and 2 kids were in there. He tried to save them, but couldn't, and he was severely burned. I like how these kids... we got you, idiot.
We got you,
your
Charlie.
kids are dead.
Your wife and kids are dead.
His face and much of his body was so badly disfigured that he stopped going into town and became like a hermit.
You look gross now.
To get his
we're like 20 now. We're still doing it.
To get his revenge, if any kids go into the woods near his house, he kills them. He lived just a little bit north of the camp property. There's still a foundation. If you look, you can still see it all covered over and buried. No one's sure exactly where Charlie stays, but he lives in the forest. He's out there somewhere, always lurking and waiting. Spooky or kooky, Mason?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty...
I think it's spooky.
That's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty classic, but I like it, yeah.
It should be noted that Wes Craven never officially attributed the concept of Freddy Krueger to Fingernails Freddie. He instead stated in an interview in 2014 with Vulture, I'd read an article in the LA Times about a family who had escaped the killing fields in Cambodia and managed to get to the U.S. Things were fine, and then suddenly the young son was having disturbing nightmares. He told his parents he was afraid that if he slept, the thing chasing him would get him. So he tried to stay awake for days. When he finally fell asleep, his parents thought this crisis was over. Then they heard screams in the middle of the night, and by the time they got him, he was dead. He died in the middle of a nightmare, which of course was a very frequent cause of death for Asian men in the 1980s, and has been attributed to the medical term sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, or SUNS. That in itself is a crazy story, but yeah. So he never was like. Oh my
god, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
it was a frequent death for Asian men.
Yeah, like in the 80s, like men coming from like, I think it was Cambodia or Laos.
Yeah, I mean, I assume because Cambodia was like that was like Pol Pot and shit. He was.
I was listening to another podcast. I had a brief segment on this, and they said that a lot of them believed in in their culture believed in a demon that would kill people in their sleep. And usually they had
mixed with PTSD from like the horrible situation they were in.
Yeah, so crazy, but yeah, so it's interesting that there's these similarities. Even though I'm sure he heard the story though and mixed it with this idea of
I mean,
like it seems too coincidental for him not to, but.
Yeah, but I get it. But I mean, you know, his quoted thing sounds like a more
for sure,
a much more substantial and like inspiration. Mm-hmm. I mean, but that's pretty scary just in itself.
Yeah.
But it also the fact that it was like a summer camp. You know, I can't believe there's no reference to Jason.
Right.
Before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because because Jason killed at the camp and he was disfigured and shit. But you know, I don't know.
And now we close out the episode with another case from the infamous Ed and Lorraine Warren, the case of the Perron family haunting, better known as the inspiration for The Conjuring. It all began in January of 1971. The parent family moved into what they thought would be their dream home, a 14-room farmhouse on 200 acres of land in Harrisville, Rhode Island. But almost immediately, the family would come to realize that their dream could instead be a nightmare. Right away, the parents were reportedly warned by a neighbor to leave their lights on at night. The haunting was...
So I can see through the windows.
Hey, I don't want to be like, yeah, you should just leave your windows open, no blinds, turn on your lights.
I just want to...
Don't bring your clothes into the bathroom, like walk out of the bathroom naked kind of stuff, for your own safety.
I got a bad reputation from the other neighbors, so I thought maybe I'd just ask you up front. You mind if
I'm a bit of a creep.
Stare at you and your wife through the window and crank it when I see you?
Yeah, hey, man, hey, I appreciate you coming to me, so yes, please.
Don't shake my hand.
Oh, why not? What's on your hand?
I'll see you tonight.
Or rather... No, yeah.
I'll see you. You won't
okay.
see me.
No.
Well, don't. If you look, I'm gonna be honest. This turned weird.
The haunting...
you made it weird for me. The guy who's gonna... Never mind. I'm gonna go back to my house.
The haunting was small at first, as they often are. Objects would be moved from the places they were originally left. The broom would go missing or move from room to room, seemingly on its own. Carolyn would hear the sound of something scraping against the kettle in the kitchen, but when she would check it out, nothing or no one would be there.
That's a very specific... I hear something scraping against the kettle.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of scraping going on.
Yeah. She'd find piles of dirt in the center of the newly cleaned kitchen floor. Cindy Perrin, one of the children who grew up in the house, said in an interview, things would either be moved all around in different position than how I left them, or they would all be shoved up underneath the bed. And I would go to my sisters, of course. You'd go to your sisters and ask, hey, what'd you do to my toys? And they'd say nothing. Why would I mess with your toys, Cindy? The girls would... Because you're my fucking sister? I don't... What?
Yeah, I know. It's like I would do that to my brother.
Yeah, you know how many fucking times my siblings have come in here and taken shit from my room?
Well, Austin, did you mess with my thing? Yeah, because I hate you. Oh, okay. Fair enough,
cool.
I guess.
All right.
All right, see ya.
The girls would soon come to the realization that the house was filled with spirits. The girls say the spirits were kind at first. They would even tuck them in, kiss them goodnight. But soon the good spirits were...
Again, with the ghost. Don't kiss me, ghost.
Get the fuck off me, ghost. But soon the good spirits were quickly replaced with malevolent ones. Their parents...
Then they bit us goodnight.
They started...
My forehead.
Good night. Good night, I love you.
Sleep tight. Don't let the me bite.
Their parents were experiencing something much more sinister. The father would open the front door one day and was met with an overwhelming putrefying smell. One night, Cindy would tell Andrea, who actually wrote a trilogy of books about her experiences entitled House of Darkness, House of Light, that a spirit...
Not a great name. I don't love the title. I think you could have used a better editor. It's all right. House of Darkness, House of Light. Blue. All right. It's fine. Move on.
Welcome to Mason Critiques Book Titles, the section of our podcast.
It's just not great. Oh, you're going to tell me it's good? It's fucking...
I thought it was kind of fun. Okay, no, I'm wrong.
Whatever.
Hey, whatever. Cindy told Andrea that a spirit told her about 7 bodies hidden in the walls. Soon after, the family would be awoken every morning at 5:15 a.m. by an overwhelming smell of rotting flesh. Things would start to take a turn when one night Carolyn was awakened by a very tall woman in an old gray dress with her head hanging to the side resembling a sack of cobwebs. She threatened Carolyn, saying, "Get out! Get out! I'll drive you out with death and gloom."
How much funnier would it have been if she said doom and gloom?
I'll
drive you out with doom and gloom.
I like to rhyme. I'm a rhyming ghost.
I'll get you out of here with doom and gloom. Kaboom, you're gone. Me, the rhyme ghost.
Carolyn would set out to research the history of the home and would come to find that 8 generations of the same family had lived in the home, and many of them had, under strange and traumatic circumstances, had passed away in or around the house. At this point, the Warrens were established and respected paranormal investigators, having founded the New England Society for Psychic Research in 1952. A Rhode Island paranormal group reached out to the Warrens, and they came to the rescue of the parents. After consulting with them and hearing their stories, Ed was convinced that the principal spirit tormenting the family was that of Bathsheba, Bathsheba Thayer. Bathsheba Thayer was someone who had lived in the house in the 19th century and had 4 children, 3 of which had died under mysterious circumstances. She was a suspected Satanist and witch after she was accused of killing a neighbor's baby by stabbing it in the neck with a knitting needle and as a sacrifice for the Dark Lord Lucifer.
That's a pretty lame sacrifice.
If I was the devil, I'd be like, come on, a baby? A baby can't fight back. Like,
a baby, it's not cool that it's a baby, but more like, I don't know, paint a pentagram and get some candles. She's just gonna stabbed it in the neck.
The devil's like, I refuse your sacrifice.
Oh, this is kind of okay.
Oh, Bathsheba, baby,
listen, we're
come on.
We like to down here. We like to do the festive and kind of pizzazzy. This is lacking a certain panache, I'd say. Where's the candles? Where's the? A goat in a pentagram of your own blood is better than a single baby with a needle in its neck. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. I just thought you would be happy with any sort of sacrifice. I
don't know why you think I'm happy at all. I'm the devil.
I'll get another baby.
I'm just kidding. I love it. I'm the devil.
When Carolyn received a mysterious stab in her calf while laying on the living room couch.
Ow! What a mystery the stab is. Oh, this is an aloof stab.
It resembled the one that killed the baby. So Lorraine...
but that's a knitting needle. That's just a hole.
Like a round hole, yeah.
There's several things that could make a knitting needle type stab. Any sharp, a chopstick could do it if you sharpen it.
I suppose so, yeah.
And there's other things, as I'm not thinking of now, but a sharpened metal straw.
There you go, yeah. A pencil?
A pencil?
Yeah.
A pen?
Mm-hmm. A quill?
A quill? A small pipe?
Yep, could be.
Could be.
Lorraine suggested that Bathsheba had taken her knitting needles with her to the beyond and was now using them in the hauntings.
This is easily clear. She obviously took the knitting needles with her when she died.
Yeah,
clearly.
well, it's a fucking no-brainer. Come on.
Yeah, honestly.
Andrea Perrin would say in an interview, whoever the spirit was, she perceived herself mistress of the house, and she resented the competition my mother posed for that position. The local lore says that Bathsheba Thayer, a witch, made a pact with the devil in which she was guaranteed youthful beauty, but like most deals with the devil, it had unforeseen consequences, and she was turned to stone upon her death. As a ghost, she was condemned to torture people, possibly out of jealousy for beauty that could never be hers again, which is why she targeted Carolyn Perrin, a relatively beautiful woman and the wife of Roger Perrin. What's beauty? It's subjective, so... Andrea believes...
I suppose as a stone ghost, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not harder to be prettier,
right.
I guess.
Andrea believes that Bathsheba wanted Roger for herself and was willing to do whatever it took to have him. Because he was, the only one out of the family that didn't have these, super negative encounters with it.
Yeah.
He didn't believe it for so long.
What's the deal? I don't understand.
Okay, she kissed me. Is that what you wanted to hear? I think she's a cool ghost. She's got nice legs. Okay, I'm sorry. I said it.
Ghost. Listen.
I'm not saying that I would cheat on you with her. She just has really nice toned legs. You could use a run every once in a while. Okay?
I would argue that even if it wouldn't be cheating anyway, because it's a ghost and not a living person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I just thought I got stabbed.
Well, that's on you. Did you do something to upset her? Because you have, when you wake up sometimes, you're in this mood, and it's like, ugh, I want to stab you with a knitting needle sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
I was napping on the couch.
Okay, so here's the thing. Bathsheba told me that's her favorite couch, and you should have known better than to have laid on her favorite couch.
How?
I just, be a little more conscious of people around you. Don't be such a fucking dick. I'm going to go fuck this ghost now, all right? I'll be back. The Warrens' involvement, however, the family claims, only made things worse. One night, they conducted a seance with the parents in the basement. Lorraine never talked about what she saw, but was disturbed by what happened during the ritual. Andrea claims that she and Cindy snuck down to the basement and witnessed the ordeal. She said, "My mother began to speak in a language not of this world and a voice not of her own. Her
Ooga shaka, ooga, ooga, ooga shaka.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me." Can you just... I'm telling you, if I was a demon, that is the type of shit that I'm doing. When the fucking priest comes up to me and he's like, "Identify yourself," I'm gonna be like, "Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga. What is going on? Who are you?"
Yeah. We should try to get ghosting. We should try to haunt the same place so
Yeah.
we can
Just fucking...
two people.
What's the one message you want to say to us? There's a bad room on the rise. Oh my god, what is that supposed to mean? Oh my god.
I had to stop for the night.
We're gonna...
Living it up in the hotel.
We're gonna... They stab it with the steely knives, but they just can't kill the beasts. Boom, boom, boom. I would just put on concerts, man.
Oh god, so
Tell
good.
us, who are you? Identify yourself, demon.
Hi, yes, schmucks, it's me, Gilbert Gottfried.
I'm your ghost.
I used to be a human, but now I'm a fucking ghost.
Yeah, so her chair
We would
levitated.
ask people for Little Caesars.
I would fucking ask. And then someone somewhere would be a listener of the podcast and would be like, "Holy shit! What? I think that's the ghost of either Jose Valle or Mason Schrader. They always talked
what?
about Little Caesars."
Ghost, what do you need to leave this family alone? Little Caesars and crazy bread.
Oh my god. It's made a ridiculous request. This is an unhinged demon for sure. It didn't notice how it didn't ask for Domino's or Pizza Hut. It asked for Little Caesars.
The shittiest pizza in the world.
Which we will gladly go back on when they offer us a $500,000 deal.
Or $500
Bucks. Yeah.
deal.
Or 5 free pizzas.
Free pizza, yeah. 1 free pizza. A deal with for crazy bread.
Yeah.
You know what?
You know what? Just give us 10% off our order. So her chair levitated, right? And she was thrown across the room. After this, Roger reportedly told the Warrens to get the hell out, as he never wanted anyone else's involvement and was concerned for his wife's mental well-being.
Okay, fair.
Get out of here, you bastards! You made my wife levitate and be thrown across the room. It was you, not my lover, Bathsheba. Bathsheba's good to me.
She's not my lover. Who said that?
I don't know who said that, but that is a misconstrued detail. We are
And
just
even if she was,
casual.
it's not like, what, you think that love can't escape the
It's
bonds
not
of this
cheating
life?
because it's a ghost. Okay? And Ed is just like, "Hey, man, I'm not... Hey, whoa. Hey, listen. Hey, buddy. Been there, done that, let me tell you. All right? No judgment here. Go ahead."
Well, okay. All right, just go. It's fine. Go ahead.
The haunting would continue for the majority of the 10 years that the family were there until they were finally able to afford moving out. One of the most striking encounters occurred when the girls were playing hide-and-seek, like the film depicts. Cindy decided to hide in the woodshed. To make things more fun, she climbed into a wood box that had nothing more than a wooden panel covering it. No latch, key, or anything else. When she realized that her sisters weren't coming to find her, she gave up and tried to exit the box. She pushed the panel up, but it wouldn't budge. There were no air holes or anything, and Cindy began to panic. She pushed and screamed, hoping someone would hear her and let her out, but no one came until 20 minutes later. And she sat defeated in a pool of sweat and tears, when her sister Nancy came and simply pulled open the lid and let her out. Cindy was hysterical and unable to breathe. The family believes that Bathsheba still follows them, tormenting them to this day. Despite not living on the farmhouse anymore, they believe her hatred for them is so strong that she was willing to leave the property, but not the family, attaching herself to them. So, Mason, conjuring or crapjuring?
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say it's spooky just because I've seen the movie, and the movie was kind of spooky, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, spooky for me too. It's kind of a fun
Also,
one.
I hold respect for that dad to just be like, get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get
Just
out
be
of
like,
here.
They're just like, there's demons in here, and he's just like,
Get the fuck out.
what is that? You're just shaking. You're just shaking and saying, "This get out of my fucking house."
Also, why the fuck did you purchase $300 worth of Little Caesars? Like, what the fuck is up with that?
It's them and the Lorraines this whole time. The only way to get this demon out of your house is
We need 10 orders
Little
of Little
Caesars.
Caesars and 5 orders
the
of Crazy.
square pan.
Get a deep dish one in there for variety. It should be noted that while some people might have considered Bathsheba a witch, she was not charged with the murder of the infant.
Okay.
And only had one child who made it to adulthood. Actually, I think there's not even any evidence of a trial for this supposed murder. And she only had one child that made it to adulthood. She might have had 3 other children, but census records of the time do not list them. She did not die of hanging, but most likely a stroke, and was buried alongside her husband. Also, it should be pointed out that the entity never identified itself as Bathsheba, so it's possible that it was someone or something else haunting the parent family. We might never know. For now, this story will remain a notorious narrative of the Northeast.
Nice. That was pretty good. Did she live in during the big witch hunt era of America?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, because
don't
if she
think
did,
so,
I
but
just would
they-
assume
yeah.
then, like if she did, it's like she definitely, like, if she'd lived through that era, she obviously wasn't a witch, because even if she may have been a witch, right, she would have,
Yeah.
been accused and shit. But
Yeah. Also, somebody else pointed out on like a website that had she really been suspected of being a witch, they wouldn't have let her be buried like in the local Baptist church.
Right, that's
Like
what I'm saying.
the public
right?
would have
If
been
she
like,
was,
"Fuck no, we're not."
That's what
even
I
if
thought,
she was
yeah.
cleared of any crime, they would have still been like, "Nah."
No, yeah, right. I'm with you. So.
But with that, it's time to wrap the show up. If you like this show, make sure to leave a 5-star review, which you can do in-app. We'd really appreciate it. Plus, it really helps the show, and we'll read your review on the show. We're at 23 5-star reviews, but we would like to get to 30, so please help us out. As of right now, we are the top Captain's Log podcast on Apple Podcasts, so
Yeah.
give yourself a pat on the back there, Mason.
Yeah. Also, the other day, Henry Zabrowski from Last Podcast on the Left liked a tweet from our podcast's Twitter page. So,
Yes, so
up and coming.
up and coming, I'd say. Yeah, we're rubbing shoulders with the high class of the podcasting world.
We are, yeah.
You can support
And
the
Henry, if you're listening, we're sorry.
So we had to do it, man. I love the show. Keep it up. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/captainslogcast and donate $1, or similarly, you can also donate whatever amount you'd like on Venmo by Venmoing J-Vaya27. Anything helps keep the lights on. Remember, if you donate, it all goes towards improving the show, getting better recording equipment, etc. Mason, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at masonschrader.com. Still don't use it.
On Twitter at masonschrader.com?
God damn it, dude! I do that all the time, and I don't know why. It's just at Mason Schrader. Obviously, there's no .com. But you can, I don't know. I think I've gotten 1 follower from the podcast so far. But
Yeah, I think you have, yeah.
I will tweet a single tweet accordingly, I guess.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at j.via. Fucking hell. You can follow me on Instagram
You're making fun of me. You
at j.via_junior, and the show on Twitter at Captain's Log Pod. We recommend various different materials on there, post show updates, and tweet some occasionally funny things, and occasionally Henry Zabrowski of the Last Podcast on the Left will like our tweets. So go check it out.
He was the only one to like it too, which
the
I think
only
is
person,
crazy.
like nobody. Anyway.
It's just weird that the only person to like a tweet would be a
The
celebrity.
guy that You can also subscribe on YouTube, where you can find me as Jose Valle Jr., Animal Productions, and of course, the show's official YouTube channel, Captain's Log. Make sure to tell your friends and family about the show if you enjoy it, and if you'd like to tell us about how we missed a bunch of details about a certain story, or how you totally know someone who definitely saw Fingernails Freddie, please,
Or if you totally know someone who saw Freddy Got Fingered, the Tom Green movie.
yes, please do so by writing in to captainslogcast@gmail.com. You can also suggest episode topics, guests you'd like to have back on, etc. Make sure to subscribe and download on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, and any other podcast directory. Thank you to Max Benyon for composing the show's theme. And with that, everybody, we have reached the end of our show. We'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode, this time for real. I've been your Captain, Jose Valle Jr., joined by...
First Mate Freeway Underpass, Mason Schrader.
And this has been Captain's Log. End of transmission.
Boop.